There comes a moment in every life, a crossroads. One path is comfort, predictable, familiar, dead quiet. The other is chaos, risk, resistance, fire, and freedom. And between them stands a single decision. A choice not made by circumstance, not determined by bloodline, not handed down by fate. A decision forged in the deepest part of you. A decision that says, no more. No more waiting. No more wishing. No more sleepwalking through life, hoping something changes. That moment, that 1 second where the world still looks the same, but you don't. Because now you've decided. You've chosen the life that was always yours, buried beneath fear, excuses, and silence. And from that moment forward, the world bends. The rich life doesn't come to you. You rise to meet it. Every person you admire, the titans of history, the architects of empires, the inventors who shaped the modern world, they were once where you are, confused, doubting, ordinary, until they made the decision. Do you think Henry Ford had all the answers when he dreamed of a motor car for the masses? No. He had a belief so strong it drowned out the laughter. When Edison failed 10,000 times, he didn't call it failure. He called it education. He made the decision to see every defeat as a doorway. And what about Lincoln? Raised in a log cabin, self-taught, heartbroken, defeated time and again. But he kept deciding to run again, to fight again, to believe again. They weren't gifted. They were decisive. They understood one truth that most will never grasp. You are never more than one bold decision away from a life that will make your former self unrecognizable. That decision isn't always glamorous. It doesn't come with applause. It comes in silence, in your bedroom at 2 a.m., in the gym when your muscles scream to quit, at your desk, staring at the screen when no one's watching and nothing's working. But in those quiet, invisible moments, wealth is born. You see, the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards proof. It rewards the man or woman who acts in the absence of certainty, who builds before the blueprint is complete, who walks forward while everyone else is still waiting for permission. And make no mistake, the rich life isn't just about money. It's richness of mind, of freedom, of time, of impact, of waking up when you want, building what you believe, and living on your own terms. But that life demands a sacrifice, the death of the version of you that hesitates. Because hesitation is the language of the poor, the emotionally poor, the financially poor, the spiritually bankrupt. Hesitation is the cousin of regret, and regret, real regret, is not missing out on what you could have had. It's missing out on who you could have become. You're not tired because you've worked too hard. You're tired because your soul knows you're capable of more. And you keep ignoring it. You're not broken. You're bored. Bored with mediocrity, with chasing approval, with repeating the same safe steps in the name of survival. You were not designed for survival. You were built for creation, elevation, domination. But none of it begins until you decide. So ask yourself, not later, not tomorrow, now. What decision have you been avoiding that would change everything? That job you won't quit. That business you won't start. That conversation you won't have. That version of you you won't become. One decision, that's all it takes. The decision to demand more from yourself, to step out of the line the world placed you in, to stop being a spectator in your own life and start being the architect. And the moment you do that, truly do that, the world shifts. It can't help it, because now you've stepped into alignment with the one force that separates dreamers from builders: conviction. Conviction is not loud. It doesn't need to shout. It lives in the spine, not the tongue. It moves in silence and speaks through action. The rich don't become rich because of talent alone. They become rich because they move when others freeze. They plant when others panic. They build when others beg. So let them laugh, let them doubt. Let them say it's impossible, because impossible is where the courageous begin. The weak see the wall and walk away. The relentless break through it, or climb over it, or build a door right into the stone. Understand this. Your brain is not your master, it is your tool. It was not designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you safe. But safety and greatness have never shared the same address. You cannot live in safety and expect to find wealth. You cannot worship comfort and pray for transformation. The truth? Most people will never make the decision. They'll wait for a sign. They'll wait for support. They'll wait until it's easy. And they'll die waiting, but not you. You didn't come this far to live at the level of average. You didn't wake up with breath in your lungs just to check boxes and count down the years. You came here for fire. You came here for more. Look back at every chapter of human history. You'll see one law written in every story. The bold write the future. The meek follow it. From the first ship that crossed the ocean to the first rocket that pierced the stars, it all began with one person saying, "I will." Not, "I'll try." Not, "Maybe someday." Not, "If they let me." I will. Carnegie built steel into cities. Disney built fantasy into fortune. They did not wait. They decided. And their decision birthed empires. And yet here you are, with access to more knowledge, more tools, more opportunity than any generation in history. And still you doubt. Still you hesitate. Still you tell yourself the lie that you're not ready. You are ready. You were born ready. But you've been conditioned to forget, conditioned to trade your fire for validation, your hunger for acceptance, your genius for compliance. That ends today. Because there is a law far more powerful than talent, stronger than connections, louder than luck. It is the law of definite decision backed by relentless action. The kind of decision that makes fear irrelevant. The kind of decision that demands results, not reasons. The kind of decision that burns the boats and never looks back. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a reason so powerful that no plan can stop you. You need to stop searching for a sign and start becoming one. The rich life doesn't show up in a lottery ticket. It shows up in 4 a.m. wake-ups, in cold showers and lonely hours, in the pain of discipline and the power of purpose. It's in the days when no one claps for you, when no one sees you, when you keep going anyway. That's where wealth is earned. Not the kind that sits in bank accounts, but the kind that sits in your bones, in your identity, in the man or woman you've become through the fire. Because the rich life isn't a reward, it's a reflection of every time you chose growth over comfort, conviction over convenience, character over applause. Every day you make a choice, not once, not twice, but over and over and over again, to be the version of you the world will remember, or the one the world will forget. And you might fall, you might fail, but every fall is feedback. Every failure is fertilizer, and every rejection is redirection. You don't get what you want, you get what you are willing to become. So become the kind of person who doesn't beg life to be easy. Become the person who gets stronger as the storms get louder. The one who walks through fire with a grin. The one who doesn't just dream, but demands. Because there is no such thing as maybe when it comes to greatness. There is only yes or no, do or die, decide or decay. You are one decision away. One decision from waking up in power. One decision from burning the script you were handed and writing your own. One decision from stepping into the arena, fists clenched, eyes forward, ready to lose, ready to bleed, but never ready to quit. Not now, not ever. So what will it be? Another day on autopilot? Another scroll through other people's lives while yours rusts in the background? Another whispered excuse to your own reflection in the mirror? Or will today be the day you break the cycle? Not by luck, not by magic, but by choice. Understand this. Your life is not a sentence, it is a draft. And the pen has always been in your hand. The problem is, you've been letting fear do the writing. Fear of failure, fear of looking foolish, fear of starting over. But let me tell you something. The fear of staying the same should terrify you more than any failure ever could. Do you know what death looks like for most people? It's not sudden, it's not loud, it's slow. A quiet erosion of who they could have been, buried under decades of indecision, denial, and delay. But that doesn't have to be your story. Because buried beneath your excuses is a version of you that's dangerous. A version of you with vision in their eyes and fire in their chest. A version of you that doesn't ask the world for permission. They take what is theirs. And that version of you isn't somewhere far away. They're right behind the decision you've been avoiding. They're behind the pain you've been postponing. Behind the work you've been resisting. Behind the change you know you need to make. But keep saying, not yet. When you make that decision, really make it, life changes fast. Not because the world shifts overnight, but because you do. And when you change, the world has no choice but to respond. The universe doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to certainty. The second you start walking with conviction, the path begins to reveal itself. But most people won't do it. They'll choose the illusion of safety over the discomfort of growth. They'll drown in distractions. They'll call their fear logic and their doubt humility, but you know better, because you felt it, that pull in your gut, that whisper that says, this isn't all there is, that voice that says, there's more in you, and it's right. There is more strength, more vision, more wealth, more impact, more you. But you can't access it with the same thoughts, the same patterns, the same environment that's kept you stuck. You can't live a rich life with a poor mindset, poor in belief, poor in imagination, poor in courage. Richness starts in the mind long before it shows up in your reality. It begins with identity. You must become the kind of person who refuses to settle, who treats their dreams like promises, not possibilities. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you demand. So demand more. From your habits, from your circle, from your standards, from yourself. Raise the bar so high that your old life can't breathe in your new one. Because that's what it takes. That's the price. The rich life is expensive, not in dollars, but in discipline, in solitude, in sacrifice, in faith when logic fails, in belief when evidence is scarce. It's waking up before the sun and going to bed with unfinished battles, but a finished heart. It's failing forward so many times that the word quit no longer belongs in your vocabulary. It's outlasting the ones who had more talent because you had more grit. You must become unreasonable, unshakable, unstoppable. And all of it, every ounce of greatness you are capable of, it begins the moment you say, enough. Enough waiting, enough apologizing, enough shrinking. I decide now. I decide now to walk like I belong here, to speak like my words shape worlds, to build as if failure is just part of the blueprint. Because once you decide, the game changes. You begin to walk through doors others can't even see. You speak differently. You breathe differently. You no longer wait for the world to recognize your worth. You move like it already has. That's the power of a made-up mind. It's louder than fear, stronger than setbacks, more persuasive than the critics who never had the courage to build anything of their own. Most people are wandering through life with unlocked potential, not because they weren't capable, but because they never decided to become dangerous. They settled. They shrank. They slept. But not you, not anymore. Because there's something burning in your chest that refuses to die. Even if you tried to smother it, that fire inside would scream until your soul woke up. And deep down, you know it. You know you weren't born just to survive bills and obey traffic lights. You were born to lead, to shift, to create. But you'll never arrive at a rich life without a richer identity. You must see yourself as the person who earns it before the world ever will. You must believe when there's nothing to prove it. You must act when no one else sees it. That's the inner contract of greatness, to honor the vision before the results, to believe in the outcome before it ever shows its face, to walk like a king before the crown is even forged. Every legend you've read about, every billionaire you've admired, every success story you've watched, they were all made from the same thing, a decision that refused to die, not born into brilliance, not gifted with magic. They chose. They chose to see a future that didn't yet exist, and they moved toward it like gravity. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Imagine that, a man now known across the globe for building an empire of dreams, was fired for having none. He didn't fold. He didn't retreat. He doubled down. Why? Because his vision wasn't a hobby. It was his mission. And once your mission is clear, you become impossible to stop. That's what the rich life requires. Not just money. That's the byproduct. It demands conviction. Because when you're truly convicted, the opinions of others become background noise. Fear becomes irrelevant. Failure becomes data. And pain becomes fuel. You've got to fall in love with the struggle. Because the struggle is the sculpture. It's carving away the excuses. It's chiseling down your weakness. It's revealing the masterpiece that was hiding under the noise all along. And the irony is this. The more you commit to the pain of transformation, the more pleasure you unlock on the other side. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every drop of blood, sweat, and tears you'll spill to earn it. Because there will come a day when the work you're doing in silence sings loudly for you. When the nights you stayed in and sacrificed will echo in your legacy. When the version of you who almost gave up will look back with pride that you never did. And on that day, you won't remember how tired you were. You won't remember how many doubted you. You'll only remember one thing, that you made the decision. And from that single decision, your entire world changed. Because that's the moment everything shifts, when you stop negotiating with your old self. When you stop answering to the voice that says, be realistic, take it slow, play it safe. Safe never changed the world. Safe never wrote history. Safe never built empires, sparked revolutions, or redefined industries. Safe is the death of potential disguised as responsibility. You want a rich life? You want freedom, wealth, and legacy? Then understand this truth. You will have to outgrow who you were. You'll have to bury the version of you that needed validation. You'll have to silence the version of you that apologized for dreaming big. You'll have to kill the comfort that has kept you small, invisible, and forgettable. Because the rich life doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the disciplined. The ones who show up when they don't feel like it. The ones who build when they have nothing but a hammer and vision. The ones who walk alone when the path is dark and empty. It's easy to post quotes. It's easy to say you want more. But the real ones, the builders, the leaders, the giants, they live in the shadows before they ever shine in the spotlight. They make sacrifices no one sees. They say no to things most people can't. They carry weight most never will, because they've made a decision that most will never dare to make. They decided to live on purpose, not to exist, not to coast, not to blend in, but to stand out. Not for attention, but because their vision left them no other choice. And that's what's waiting for you. A life of deep fulfillment, of earned freedom, of wealth in every form, financial, emotional, spiritual. But it's waiting on the other side of your excuses. Every second you spend feeding your doubt is a second you steal from your future. Every day you delay the decision is a day that life remains caged. And here's the part nobody tells you. You will not feel ready. You won't hear trumpets. You won't get a permission slip. No one's coming to push you across the line. It's you versus you. And it always has been. So don't wait for the motivation. Move first. The motivation will follow. Act first. The belief will build. Leap first and watch the net appear. Because action is the ultimate amplifier of faith. Every time you act, you prove to your mind that you are no longer the prisoner. You are the warden. You don't manage fear. You master it. You don't escape your past. You rise from it. And you don't wait to feel powerful. You become power in motion. That's what the rich life demands. Not just effort, but transformation. Not just learning, but unlearning. Not just trying, but deciding. Deciding that your future matters more than your fear. Deciding that your mission is bigger than your mood. Deciding that your dreams are not optional, because when you decide, fully and finally, the universe responds, the doors open, the energy shifts, the opportunities arrive, but only for those who move with unwavering clarity. And clarity doesn't come from sitting around. It comes from commitment. It comes from doing, from choosing a direction, and becoming undeniable. So let the world underestimate you. Let them laugh, let them talk. Because the louder the noise, the more powerful your silence becomes. Because while they debate, you build. While they wait, you move. And while they hope, you decide. You decide, and suddenly the noise fades. Because you're no longer asking the world what you're worth. You've already determined it. And that decision echoes louder than any applause ever could. You see, people won't understand you at first. They won't see the vision. They won't feel the pressure you carry on your chest like armor. They'll mistake your intensity for arrogance, your focus for coldness, your solitude for sadness. But don't flinch. Because the path to greatness is supposed to feel lonely. You are not like them. You are not meant for a life of good enough. You were born for more. And more will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you popularity. It will cost you the right to complain. But what you gain is a life that reflects your power, not your passivity. A life of conscious design, not accidental survival. A life where you wake up and command your day instead of crawling through it. And that kind of life, the rich life, it doesn't just elevate you. It becomes a beacon, a fire on the hilltop. You start inspiring people who never met you. You start waking others from the slumber of mediocrity. Not because you told them to, but because you showed them how. That's legacy. That's wealth. That's the invisible currency that outlives your bank account. But you must understand, none of this comes by accident. It comes from the decision to go to war with your excuses every day, to train your mind like a soldier, to treat your vision like oxygen, to walk into every room like it belongs to you, not out of ego, but out of purpose. Because when you carry purpose, you don't need to beg for space. You become the gravity in the room. People feel you before you speak. They sense the discipline, the presence, the conviction. And that doesn't come from reading books or watching more videos. It comes from doing the thing you've avoided, over and over and over, until the old version of you has no place left to hide. You must be willing to break yourself open, to question everything, to shed the beliefs that were never yours, to burn the scripts that told you to be small, and to step into the raw, unfiltered power that's been buried under years of playing nice. Because the truth is this: there is no next level until you become a next-level human. You can't attract wealth with the same frequency that attracts mediocrity. You must upgrade your standard, not just once, every single day. So wake up early. Speak life into your vision. Say no to what drains you. Say yes to what scares you. Invest in your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. The future you want will not arrive quietly. It must be built with force, with intention, with discipline that outlasts motivation, and most of all, with a decision that cannot be reversed. This isn't a phase. This isn't hype. This is a turning point. This is the line in the sand. The moment where your old life ends, not with a bang, but with a decision. A decision that says, I am done waiting. I am done shrinking. I am done settling. I am done pretending. From this breath forward, I live on fire. Not just alive, activated, awake, locked in, unapologetically pursuing the life that once only lived in my imagination. That's the real rich life. It's not the money. It's not the mansion. It's not the numbers on a screen. It's the feeling of becoming who you were meant to be. It's looking in the mirror and seeing a person who didn't fold, who didn't run, who decided and never looked back. And when they ask you years from now, what changed? You won't need a long story. You'll smile. You'll look them in the eye and say just one thing: I made a decision to stop blaming and start building, a decision to stop begging for permission and claim authority, a decision to silence every voice, external and internal, that ever said, you can't. Because once you make that kind of decision, the kind that cuts through your DNA like lightning, your entire reality begins to move. Opportunities shift, people appear, resources awaken, not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you became undeniable. You started walking like it was already yours, talking like the battle had already been won, and showing up like failure was just a step, not a sentence. because you finally understood. It's not about never falling. It's about rising with something stronger each time you do. You stopped fearing defeat because you realized you were the storm the world was warned about. That kind of fire, it doesn't burn out. It becomes legacy. A legacy that your children will feel, not through your words, but in the way you lived, in the way you fought, in the way you decided. They'll say, my mother didn't wait to be chosen. She chose herself. My father didn't play small, he played real. He played raw, he played to win. They didn't leave behind a house, they left behind a blueprint. And maybe you won't have a statue. Maybe no one writes your name in the history books. But one thing is certain. Your life will be a monument to courage, to discipline, to choosing power over passivity, to choosing freedom over fear. Because the richest people in the world are not always the loudest, they're not always the flashiest, but they are always the boldest. They made a choice when the world was watching, or when no one was. They decided that average was an insult, that comfort was a trap, that dreams were not just for sleep, they were marching orders. And so I say to you, right now, in this moment, decide. Don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait for a sign or a savior or a perfect plan. You are the sign. You are the permission. You are the decision. Stand up, lock in, burn the plan B, declare war on the version of you that's afraid. And then, watch how the universe steps aside for the one who knows exactly where they're going. Because that's what wealth responds to. That's what power respects. Decisiveness, conviction, clarity that cuts like a blade. You are not one day away. You are not one opportunity away. You are not one lucky break away. You are one decision away from a rich life, and you already know what it is. Now make it, and never, ever look back.